Okay, Mr. Hankins here with Zach Davidson and Zach Spalding from our Blue 3 class. They're doing their book bonding buddy at the end of the experience. At the end of the 9 weeks, they've read a book together, and this is what they opted to do. They opted to be filmed so they can talk about a book that was not on reading counts, and it's not even out yet. The book doesn't come out until August. So the book that they'll be talking about is MatthewQuick's Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock. Right, so talk about the book real quick, guys. How did you guys find out about this book that doesn't even come out until next fall?
Well, you mentioned about Leonard Peacock and told us what it's about, and I just thought it sounded pretty interesting, and asked Zach if you wanted to read it. And that's how I heard about it.
Is that a conversation that you usually, because you and Zach are pretty good buddies, is that a conversation you and Zach usually have together about, hey, that sounds like a pretty good book, let's read that together?
Not really. I mean, we're both not much of readers, but that sounded pretty interesting, and we thought we'd read it.
Okay. Zach, would you concur with that these are conversations that you two probably don't usually have together?
Yeah, we never really talk about books, but, I mean, we had the opportunity to read it, so we might as well take it.
So it's an important part in reading sometimes to be invited by somebody to read a book.
Oh, yeah,
Cause it's not on your radar. To what degree would you say a simple invitation is effective in getting guys to read just by asking them to say, this is a good book, you want to read it? That works?
If it presents itself as like a interesting book, I think it would get the attention of someone, but if it doesn't really sound really interesting, I think it'd go one ear and not the other.
Right. So is there anything to someone who recommends a book, is there a relationship or a trust that comes along with that person would guide you to a good book? Or what happens now? So I'm not fishing for a compliment here, but do you trust Mr. Hankins now to make another recommendation to you the next time?
Definitely.
You'd come back again, okay, on the strength of Leonard Peacock, you'd say, okay, that was good. These are conversations we don't usually have. We didn't have to do it. We can take our 0, right? Yeah. To what degree did that play into reading Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock? Because there's no way to really measure that you read that. We can make a quiz, but it's not on the reading program that you use here at Silver Creek High School. So how do we know? What should I ask you that would make me feel like you read that book? And do I ask you what color was the dog in chapter 3? Or tell me, so without any spoilers, what is it about Leonard Peacock that you really enjoyed as you read the book? Like, what kept you in it?
I think what kept me in it was it's related to a lot of stuff that's been happening around the United States lately. It's a big deal, and so it just it relates to a lot of stuff going on with us, so we can just put it into real life, and it keeps us interested.
Yeah, it's got some headline appeal. What do you think, Zach?
I think the way he said it relates to it, and just what he thinks and how the way he describes in the book, it keeps it interesting and it keeps going.
In an elevator pitch, which means if we were going to ride up the elevator 3 or 4 floors together, and you were going to book talk me on Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock, what is the book about without any spoilers? If you can avoid the spoilers, please.
Well, he's a lonesome kid in high school who struggles with friends and grades and everything, and tries to get by just by coasting by and not doing as much as he can, and has a lot of problems during life and tries to deal with them on his own.
Yeah, and when we meet this character, what's happening today? Because it's almost like a day in the life. What's happening in Leonard's life today when we meet him?
He's just he's a kid that doesn't really have much friends, and he doesn't necessarily want a lot of friends. He just he just wants to make it through and doesn't really know how to do it, and just tries to take matters into his own hands.
Yeah, and on this particular day, it happens to be his 18th birthday, right? And he's going to go to school. He's going to go with an agenda, right? So this is not a spoiler. This is what the book is about. So we won't talk about what happens at the end. But when Leonard Peacock shows up at school on this particular day that we meet him, what's going on? What's he carrying with him?
He's carrying his grandpa's old Nazi gun.
He's carrying a gun in his backpack. So when you guys read this book, this was fresh after a headline story about a person entering into a school with a gun. To what degree did that play into your reading of the book? Was that in the back of your mind as you were reading this, that this is pretty fresh?
Yeah, definitely. I think it kept me reading it. It kept me interested in it.
What do you think about the book coming out in August? Do you think there would be enough space and time between the event that we're referencing back in December and then August for this book to come out without people going too soon? What do you think?
I think it'll be about the right time. People will want to be reading about it.
I think people will be ready for it.
The conversation is still pretty important. As I'm reading the book, I'm thinking about Columbine. I'm thinking about the tension of these two guys showing up at school with a plan, and that's what Leonard Peacock is doing. He has a plan. To what degree the other characters in the book? What do you think about their roles as we meet them? As Leonard has an agenda, right? So no spoilers, but he's going to go to school. But before he does, he needs to meet with some people. Why does he meet with those people?
He just wants to give them he just wants to let them know how much that they meant to him and how they helped him get through his life and help him be a happy kid.
Yeah, Zach.
Well, what he said, I think his best friend, who is the older gentleman in the book, I think he played a big role in his life, and he helped him out with just living.
Right, as you're reading the book and you know what the plan is, as this guy's heading toward his high school, don't you think you're just kind of stop, somebody stop, right? Somebody stop this kid, as you're reading it. I think that's the tension of the book that kept me in it. Mm-hmm. Have you recommended the book to other people?
I haven't yet, but if anyone asked about it, I'd definitely recommend it.
Wait, they have to ask you about it?
Or not necessarily.
Oh, wait a minute, you guys are guys that don't have conversations about books.
Yeah. I mean, if someone was if the conversation about a book to read got brought up, then that'd be the first one I'd tell them.
So these are important conversations to have, at least periodically in the classroom or in casual conversations in the hallways. Lead learner should be at least talking about books, right? Because these are conversations that aren't happening naturally, so you have to kind of introduce them a little bit. Yeah. Have you recommended the book to anybody, Zach?
I have. I've recommended it to a few of my friends, actually.
And what were their responses? They're like, Zach, come on, we don't talk about books.
Yeah, they actually wanted to read it, though, because they've been trying to find a book to read, and they said, once you get done, tell me, and they'll try to find it. So.
Super. So this is your chance to do a book talk. 20 seconds or less. Pitch Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock by MatthewQuick. Understanding that Matthew will probably see this. And Matthew's book that was made into a film called The Silver Linings Playbook won multiple Oscars. So you are now speaking in the camera to an Oscar award-winning author. So this better be good. No pressure. Take a deep breath.
You just need to what I liked about it, or
yeah, pitch it. Right, Make me read it. Make me feel you.
Where's the start? I thought the book was really written well, and it was just well described, and how he keeps it, how dramatic it is, and how how he. You never know what he's going to do next, and how he keeps talking to his friends and family, and how you always want to tell them stop him and tell him not to let it go next place and don't let him go to school, but he keeps going next place, and how it just keeps getting more intense and intense.
Yeah. You're watching the fuse on this kid kind of slowly burn across the city, right? And kind of it's kind of attached to a powder keg, and you're you just kind of keep turning the pages. I don't know. I was kind of torn as I was reading it, not wanting to keep staring at the car crash that was getting ready to happen, but I kept following along. I was almost in the draft of the whole thing. Okay, so book talk.
All right. Well, it's a fantastic book all the way through, and it kept me on the edge of my seat the whole time, and I like it because it's about a kid our age, which we can relate to, and he has his own little battle inside his head about what he wants to do and what he thinks he should do and what he thinks is right, and the story just keeps going on and keeps getting better and better, and you never know what you're going to read next, so it hooks you into reading all the way through.
Super. Okay, so that's Zach and Zach. So don't mix them up. Zach and Zach, right? And they are talking today about MatthewQuick's Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock. Comes out in August of this year, so you're getting an early recommendation of the book from two fantastic guys that I have loved, nurtured, and book talked with since the beginning of the year, and look at the effect it's had. These guys are talking about books and they're smiling. Nobody's running away, nobody's lowering their chin and trying to duck and dive, right? So these are guy readers, and they just told you exactly how it happened. So Mr. Hankins, room 407 out.
Peace.